Grace Covenant family, I believe there's tremendous wisdom in looking back at what the Lord has done and celebrating the faithfulness of God. And I thought we'd take just a couple of minutes and look back at 2021, last year, and celebrate what God has done in us and through us, and certainly for us as a church family. Well, there are some numbers we'll talk about and some new relationships we'll talk about, but for just a moment, let's talk about one of the most fantastic numbers from last year. It's the number 7. Now, that's a good Bible number anyway, but 7 is a great number for Grace Covenant Church because last year we baptized 7 precious souls. Quinasia, Bree, Lauren, Tucker, Kenzie, Reagan, Chase. 7 precious people wanted to go public with their faith and let the world know they were on the Lord's side. And it was such an honor and a joy to be a part of that. We got to celebrate that last year. Last year, we also celebrated the new members that became a part of our church family. We saw Isaac Akonmu and the Beckwiths, McKim and Arlene join, and Autumn Lowry, Isaac Paley, become a part of the Grace Covenant family last year. What a privilege, what a joy to worship and partner together in ministry. Each one of these are plugged in pretty incredible ways in their own regard, and I'm so thankful. I love seeing them join, of course, but I love seeing it when people get involved and become a part of the work. Speaking of which, in our missions area, we took on Autumn Lowry for her year assignment that she has, a special assignment. I won't mention the specifics of it on this little video report, but it's to a closed country, but she has a wonderful opportunity and continues to serve there. And so we added a missions support element to our giving last year, and we increased our missions giving. You, faithful people of God, felt the urge and the call, and we increased our missions giving in 2021 by more than $26,532. And man, it was just incredible how the Lord blessed in that regard. As we move forward, we studied God's Word together quite a bit, didn't we? Lots of time on Sunday mornings in our group Bible studies, continuing on with the Gospel Project. You work through Acts and Philemon and 1st and 3rd John and Jude and Revelation. And then in the fall, it kind of ticked back over into Genesis as we're working through our 3-year cycle. When I'm recording this in March, we're coming to the end of that 3-year cycle with the Gospel Project. But it's been quite an adventure, a survey of the whole Bible, seeing the crimson thread through that. We started the year with that foundational series called About Our Father's Business from the New Testament. Then we finished up, which took most of the year, the second half of Exodus that we began in 2019. In the summer, we married the sermons with the text that you were studying in the Gospel Project. And that was a special time for us. And then, of course, Advent is always special for us at Grace Covenant. It was a wonderful year studying God's Word together. We also saw a relaunch of sorts to our men's and women's ministry, or ministry to men and women at Grace Covenant. In Bible studies, we launched in the fall, which became the Covenant Discipleship group launches. So that was kind of where we laid the foundation of what we're now doing in our discipleship groups across the area. But we studied the book of Ephesians together. It was so rewarding to spend time in God's Word together. The ladies, of course, fellas, the ladies are ahead of us by a couple of miles. They had their retreat, which is so important and so special to them. That was in October. If we don't recount these things, sometimes we can forget them. But it was an eventful year, a special year of ministry for men and women at Grace. And we're seeing more of that, and the seeds that were sown last year already yielding fruit in 2022. Well, let's talk about our giving. Last year was the largest giving year on record in the history of Grace Covenant's existence. $438,881 in contributions given last year. Now, I have that for you on the screen. You saw the little pie chart already in in a Sunday morning service, but these images are available for you also on our giving page, so you can see the annual report that way. But you see the restricted giving there, $46,881. That's gifts for like the benevolence, specifically to use for benevolence or missions trip funding or missionary Christmas offering. That was a lot of that. And there's other restricted giving in there as well. Most of our giving and most of the ministry that we do, though, comes from just folks in their regular giving. Here's money I'm giving to the church, you guys spend it. And we give a lot of it to missions. I'll get to that in a minute. $317,070 came in for general use. And then that number, that big number up top, includes the $75,000 proceeds from the property easement that we sold to Stiles and Shorenstein. Those are our new neighbors behind us that are constructing that massive building that will be our neighbors for quite some time. Let's look at how we spent the money the Lord entrusted us. And I did put 2020 on there by comparison because there's a few numbers to be excited about. First off, we spent $359,019 in the work of the Lord. And I want you to look at the difference between 2020 and 2021, specifically in the area of our global missions spending. To God be the glory. We saw that increase. And we went from 17, if you're rounding, 17% in 2020 to 22% in 2021, or 17.4 in 2020, let's be precise, and 21.6 in 2021. That's remarkable. And that means that 21.6% of every dollar that we spent last year went to global missions. That's phenomenal. That's my heart. That's Pastor Darren's heart. And we want to see that number continue to rise, which means the elders want to steward the resources of Grace Covenant in a way that even though we have these projects that need to happen administratively, or there's a building project that needs to happen, we want to carefully plan out that spending so that it doesn't bring down that global missions impact. So that's one snapshot. There are other things to celebrate. We saw a tremendous increase in our online ministry, our streaming online. Even as folks were coming back into our worship gatherings on site in 2021, we saw folks engaging regularly in new and exciting ways each Sunday that we streamed the service. Streaming became the front door for many people. That's how they checked out Grace Covenant Church before they visited us online. They wanted to see an unedited service as to how things went. We have folks that have never stepped foot on our property that support us through streaming that almost covers our streaming costs, which is pretty remarkable. We also upgraded that experience last year so that it was more than just content to consume from a distance, but it became a bit more of a community to engage with. And so that's remarkable. I was super excited about that. We've worked hard to make communications even better, to try to reach everybody on all the ways they like to be communicated with to the best of our ability while keeping our costs down administratively. The Lord's been very kind to us. We have much to celebrate, and we're just getting started. Thank you for being a part of what God's doing here at Grace Covenant Church.